What's up? How you doing? When you're a kid, you find all kind of things to get involved in. Kids don't play anymore, but in my time we played. And this story takes place a very long time ago. I was 10 years old, and I had a friend who lived in a different neighborhood. He was 10 years old too. And I said, "Why don't you come by my area? We'll hang out." And so he came by and he said, "What do you want to do?" And back in those days, I was a big fan of hanging around at the railroad yard, railroad tracks. And during that period of time, it was a transitional time where the train had stopped running for a bit, for a few years, and it was bought by another company, and they were planning on tearing the old tracks out and putting a whole new track system there, and having a new train run there. So for that period of time, for I think it was like 7 years, there was no more trains. It was just the tracks, and so I would go even more often because it was even more fun to mess around and not worry about the train running you over. So I said, then we'll go there. We'll go hang out at the railroad tracks. And he looked at me and he goes, "Railroad tracks?" He goes, "I know a store that if we get the spikes out of these railroad tracks or even find them laying around, we can get $250 per spike if we paint them gold." I said, "$250? That's a lot of money." And when I was 10 years old, $250, that's a lot of money. So I take him to this place where I would hang out, and we find these two cardboard boxes, and we start filling them up with spikes, which I happen to have. These are spikes that I sanded down, got rid of the rust, and painted them, primed them, and painted them. So anyway, we're there collecting spikes. We probably collected 50 apiece. We were like pulling these boxes, and we were little back then. We couldn't really lift them. So I keep thinking 50 times 250. It's a lot of money. And I kept asking him, "Are you sure?" I felt like Rocky when he was asking Paulie, "Your sister knows I'm coming?" And then he kept asking. He's like, "You sure your sister knows I'm coming?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's very excited." I kept asking him, "Are you sure this store's going to give us $250 for a spike?" I would have been happy with $3. Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, definitely." He goes, "I know this store, it gives $250 a spike." I said to him, what store is it?" And he told me the name, and I was thinking, that's like a cheap store. That's like saying, I'll bring my jacket to Morgan Memorial, and Morgan Memorial will give me like $1,000 for my jacket. So I go, okay, I don't know, maybe he knows something, because he was one of those kids that knew stuff like that. At least I thought he knew stuff like that. So we collect these things. We're all filthy. We pull these things into my backyard, and my father's station wagon is there. We put them in the back, and the next day, because he stayed over, the next day we head over to where he lives, which is a few miles away. And he says to me, and I should have known when he said this, he's like, we went, with our bicycles to the parking lot, and I was ready to go in there with him. I wanted to hear the guy say, "Yeah, I'll give you $250." He goes, "Why don't you stay out here in the parking lot, and I'll go talk to the owner." So I said, "All right." So he goes inside, and I can see him talking. He's like, I was in there for like 3 minutes. They're nodding up and down. Comes back out. He says, "Yeah, I told the guy," and he says, $250 a piece. I was like, wow, it's a lot of money. I was thinking of going back to the railroad tracks and tearing everything out. So on the way back, I was kind of thinking, I go, I don't know, it sounds ridiculous to me. $250, these are not gold. And I kept asking him, he's like, "Yeah, yeah." So we're sitting at the table there, eating. And my father was kind of walking by, and he was listening. And he's like, "No, no, no." He goes, "Don't do that. Don't do that. They're going to interrogate you, and they're going to find out where you took those from, and then you're going to go to jail. So don't go over there and try and sell these things, because you're going to go to jail." And I was thinking, jail for what? These things are abandoned. They're garbage laying around. We just picked up garbage. So my friend was easy to agree to that. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, that might happen. We better not do it." Well, the reason he agreed is because he made the whole thing up. Nobody, even today, nobody will pay you $250 for a spike that you can get anywhere for like 99 cents, brand new. And I know when the railroad company makes the railroad tracks, they probably buy these for like 3 cents each. So I didn't challenge him on it. I didn't say, you're lying, you made it up. But it was obvious that he made it up. And why he made it up, I don't know. It's not like eventually it wasn't going to be found out that you cannot get $250 for a spike from the railroad yard. Because if that were true, everybody would be stealing these things. You know how they steal catalytic converters and copper wires from poles and stuff like that? People are stealing these things because they're worth real money. Well, if these things were worth $250, not one would exist. Every like, it would be on the news every day. It'd say like another train derailed because spike stealers, spike bandits, took all the spikes out. But in my case, the railroad system over there was abandoned. It was not functioning at the time, and they were actually going to tear it out. So we wouldn't be the only ones knowing the secret of $250 for a spike. All the homeless people would be there, and they wouldn't be homeless anymore. They'd buy houses with the spikes. So that's what happened, and it excited us for a day. Because, maybe because I don't know if he was that excited, but it excited me for a day, thinking that, each one of these was $250. Anyway, very long time ago, but always exploring as a kid, always. Kids don't explore anymore. They don't know what's going on. That's it. And you can get one of these for like $1.